Hey dude, it's Thub, and we got a pretty fun project for today. Look, I set up this overhead rig. It's no Casey Neistat, but it's not bad. So, I've got this here Nintendo AGS 101 that I picked up in a Value Village. I'm not going to brag about the price, but it was very affordable. It's kind of worn out though, there's a lot of wear marks and it's just really showing its age, so I figured we'd freshen it up a little bit. So I've got this here replacement case that I ordered from China. I think it was about $8. And that should be a pretty simple task to swap that over. But I don't want to just have a simple Game Boy, so we're going to do a little bit of color modification. So we've got the buttons, but before we paint them, we're going to want to scour them up so the paint actually sticks. I'm just going to use a green scour pad. You can find coarser ones, but this is just soft plastic, so I don't want to make gouges that are too deep. Now the buttons are all roughed up. It is a pain in the butt to do, but I strongly suggest not skipping it if you want your paint to actually stick. Now we're going to clean them with some alcohol because same thing, if they're not clean, the paint won't stick. And finally, I'm going to use some masking tape to mount them to a piece of cardboard. That should work good. I've covered up some of the pieces that need to slide because I'm hoping the paint doesn't interfere with anything. Now, some paint. I really wanted to do purple because I thought purple would look really good with that pearlescent white. But I don't have any purple. I do have fluorescent pink though. This doesn't exactly have an art tip on it, but I think it'll be okay. The trick to getting good coverage and not getting drips and runs is patience. Using a lot of light coats, not just trying to get it all done at once. And we let that flash off. Flashing is when the solvent that carries the paint evaporates, and you can tell because it doesn't look glossy anymore, it looks kind of dull. It's already done it. A quick update, the first attempt went really poorly, so I took some turpentine and cleaned off all of the paint, and now we're going to start again. I've changed my method. See, I think the main problem I was having was all the overspray from all the other parts being so close together, spackling up and building a way too much material. So, I've separated them all. Each button has their own piece of paper now. I think this will work a lot better. Let's try this again. I'm pretty happy with how those turned out. Now the final step is the clear coat. Now the trick to laying down a good clear coat is not exactly the same as getting good coverage with the base. You want to spray a light layer to introduce the clear coat to the surface, and then you want to go over and do a heavier layer. Not a thick, heavy layer, but just enough to get a good flow over top so you get that nice glossy coat. Now we do have to wait for that clear coat to dry, so I'm actually going to set this aside, and I've got another project to keep us busy. DS Fat. This pink one I found in the garbage, but it's, I understand why. The hinge is all destroyed. And this silver one I bought for $5 because the screen has damage. So I think between the two of them, we should be able to put together something pretty sweet. Now I also ordered a tri-wing screwdriver from China, so that better be what's in this little brown package. You know, that actually looks pretty high quality. First thing though, I'm going to remove the battery. Now I'm going to take this one apart first, because I'd rather learn on the one that's already damaged. Fancy! Okay, I just looked everything up and it looks like you don't actually have to disassemble the whole thing to get the screen out. That's pretty convenient, should have looked stuff up first. No big deal. Alright. Got some ribbon cables. I'll probably put this one back together. Probably. Let's see if we can actually accomplish this without complete disassembly. I'm going to attempt to not scratch the heck out of everything with this. Certainly not. Thanks, Nintendo. Oh yeah, that one looks way nicer. Flip that up. Flip that up. Boop. There we go. Broken top screen. And because we're just doing a straight swap, if I'm nice to it, I should be able to keep all of the adhesive and just use that. Got all the dust off. Drop that back in there. Make sure we've got the spacer plastic. There. Nice. There. Now, what screws did I use for that again? Whatever. Alright, well, we should probably test it before calling it a huge success, right? Battery in. Wow, those speakers are terrible. I was thinking really hard about doing the two-tone look on this. I decided against it because I just don't think between the black and silver and the pink and cream there would be any sort of improvement to the overall look by mashing them together. It'd make me happy to do it, but... Now those are definitely going to disappear if I don't find some way to glue them back down. This is actually glue that's intended for wigs. It dries really fast, it's kind of flexible. I just think it'll work good for this application. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm just saying it's what I'm going to use. Ah, that'll work great. Now that we've got that all done, let's check on how those painted parts are doing. Looking alright. These things look quite a bit better now that they've got clear coat on them. One thing about the clear is it tends to fill in the unevenness of the base coat. It makes it look a lot smoother. Let's see how this is done. Quite a bit going on in there. Ah, ribbon cable. Seems like a great time to clean this thing. This actually came with a new one. I'm just going to use the old one despite the scratches because it's actually glass. You know, I gotta say, looking at these things from the inside, these straight from China ones are very well constructed. There we have the top. We're halfway done, look at us go! Now it looks like the actual hinge attachments are the only pieces that the replacement doesn't come with. Okay, I quickly looked up a guide. Turns out it is important to have it closed before trying to pop them out. And then you open it halfway. Okay, open it all the way. And then we're going to want a couple of these. These pieces, they do have a little bit of plastic sticking out, which I think will interfere with stuff, so I'm going to slice it off with a razor blade. Beautiful. Oh. Okay. There it is. Nice. Frickin' perfect. Now seems like as good a time as any to put this piece on. Nice. Looking fine as heck. Next. I am a little worried about the extra material from the paint making it a much worse fit, but we're gonna find out. Got those all in. A button is sticking a little bit. Not too worried. Sure glad I have an example to look at for these things. That one's the only one that's gonna be an issue. Nah, seems fine. And then we just gotta slip all this together. Okie dokie. Not sure how great of a job I can do with the camera angle on this one. There, alright. What is that sound? I don't like it. I think that's right. I think this is the final piece. And there we go. Slide a battery in there.
Daddy?
Hey, dude.
There's something to eat. It's ready.
Tight. There it is. What do you think? The buttons actually work great. Okay, slight problem. I'll be right back. Alright, it's back together. And let me just say, the Chinese-made replacement housings are extremely high quality. They look and feel just like the same thing. So, if you have to squeeze it together to make it fit, you're probably doing it wrong. I've taken it apart a couple times, and now I'm pretty sure everything is exactly as it should be. Feels pretty good. Oh, and because I went a little hardcore on the screws, I ended up making these little divots. Oops. I think it looks pretty good, though. Now let's see if it actually works. This thing works great. Now for a couple final touches. Now these little rubber feet don't actually come with adhesive on them. No big deal. This wig bond will work great. It sure as heck does. That's sure goopy though. And the final part of the kit. I sure do love doing stickers. I really, really do. Nice. Now that does look a little different. Whatever. Just one final touch. Here it is. This is a regular Game Boy Advance cartridge. This was the game. I painted it to match. I did that because I also have this. It's a flash reader that lets you run any sort of backup copies of games that you may have, so that if you're worried about losing or wrecking some rare or just really well-loved games that you have, you can back them up and take a copy of them on this. Yep, that's what people do with them. Just that. Games they already own. Unfortunately, the cartridge that it comes in kind of sucks. Bad fitting, broken, carved out pieces. It's just not very good. So hopefully this will fit in there nicely. Alright, forget it. Unfortunately, there is way too much stuff inside here. This battery sits as high as the outermost top of this one. So basically, there's no way it'll ever fit, and that's the reason why they've made a case that is so craptastic, because it has to be super thin for all of those components to actually fit in there. Which ultimately I guess is fine because it still works great. So I think that'll pretty much do it. I had one more system I was planning on fiddling with today. Unfortunately we're out of time, so that's not a big deal. Dual wielding. I'm pretty happy with these though. This pieced that together for $5, that'll be great. I mean, it's not much, but I'm gonna give it to a kid who doesn't have a DS at all, so it's way better than what he's rocking. And this, if I could only own one Game Boy, it would be this one. But don't make me choose, because the DS library is amazing. I'm a big fan of handhelds. Not that I play them that much anymore. Well, thank you guys for checking this out. I know it wasn't exactly trash picking related, but I did find this in the trash, and this is the rest of its story, so I think that's kind of related. Oh, and I actually found a little bit of scrap. These are all gold plated. You know, so it's scrapping related too. It's what I felt like doing today. Thanks again, guys. Whatever you end up doing today, leave it better than you found it. Keep doing the thing.